It's a real thing now.
Hold on. Before I get in, man. They keep throwing the wrong. There we go. There we go. Whole time, I think my mom I know told me, I think Maya was telling me too. Why do I have it facing the wall? Why not show the energy? So we switched it up a little bit. I feel like I should have angled the camera a little bit more this way to show the outside, right? You know, people walking their dogs, all that good stuff. But welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a great show planned for y'all today. Shout out to Unk in the building already. Shout out to Big Bro Steve in the building. You see your boy in the background on the TV. I didn't know what else to put on in the background. So I just said, let me just put this in the background. All right, we got Unk, Grand Rising, and good morning to all friends and family. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for that reminder, Unk. For all those that are tuning in, please make sure that you like, subscribe. And if you already subscribed, make sure you turn your notifications on, all right? That's going to make sure that that's going to enable your notifications to be sent to you when we start a live show or put up anything else. To a worldwide fan base, thank you and good morning. Good morning, Grand Rising to all. Good morning and happy Friday. Oh, gee. Big fish. All right, thank you. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the music. All right. I got to start playing with these. Oh, hold up. So before, so I said I was going to start playing with these buttons. And remember, I never, the other day I couldn't, or I was going to show y'all, hold on. I was going to show y'all, let y'all hear the original song that we had. This is the original song. I can only give y'all a little bit. We may end up starting off the show with that. Slow Burn. Shout out to Slow Burn in the building. Good morning, everyone. All right, so this is what we got for today. Not going to take up too much of your time getting into the show. We will be here for a bit, though. And I appreciate everybody getting engaged in the conversation because that's what's needed now more than ever. All right, so Nelson Mandela. We're going to start off with Nelson Mandela. We did a show on Wednesday night. It was later than expected. So I don't expect y'all to have tapped into that. And the reason why we're starting off with Nelson Mandela is because I started the Nelson Mandela video that I'm getting ready to show y'all on Wednesday. However, I just felt like, well, one, it was getting late, and two, I was like, I really need my Friday crew to tap in with this and to see this, because I think it's so important to hear a perspective like Nelson Mandela because of the high regards that we hold Nelson Mandela in. And we're indoctrinated in a lot of ways in which you'll see in this video to hate certain people, right? Whether it's Gaddafi, whether it's Castro, whether it's Arafat. A lot of these people that we were just brought up to consider as terrorists, and it's okay to kill these people and it's okay to go to war with them because they're pushing something that doesn't align with our American principles, which are the righteous principles, right? So when you hear from a perspective like Nelson Mandela, somebody who's respected by the world, somebody who I like his approach to communication, and I've learned a lot looking at him because he's soft-spoken, but he's speaking about things that are very powerful. He's soft-spoken. Adjust this. Don't matter. He's soft-spoken, but he's speaking about things that are very powerful. And that's a communication style that probably intimidates a lot of people, because it's easy when somebody's getting out here being brash and just saying certain things to say like, yo, this person's crazy, this person's out of line, they're just whatever. But when you hear Nelson Mandela speak about a lot of these people that have been presented to us as terrorists, and make sense of how he may look at them compared to how we look at them, what it does is, for me, I don't know about y'all, but it reminds me that, just because America says something, or just because we were brought up one way, taught something, does not mean that it's true. Seeing things through an American perspective does not give it the green light when it comes to morality and say that, hey, this is a good thing. We see this happening right now. We see this happening right now where we will validate certain things that are going on right now, whether it's Israel, Palestine, maybe Ukraine and Russia, mainly Israel, Palestine, let's just be real. Well, they'll say, well, yeah, there's not, I mean, we're doing a good job. There were 500,000 children killed in the war in Iraq. Look, we're doing better. As if that validates your current actions. So I want us to take a look at this Nelson Mandela video. Then we're going to get into a little bit of a lighter video with Muhammad Ali on femininity. And I don't know whether we're going to play that after. That's kind of like in the back. That's kind of like our icebreaker that in case we need to break some ice, in case this gets a little bit heavy, we'll use that. But we're going to get to that probably towards the end. We're going to have to address this issue with Trump. And when we say that he's controlled by Israel, like Trump is moving in a way that justifies a lot of those sayings. And what I'm talking about is Trump and his team put out something that cut FEMA disaster funding for companies that no longer wanted to do business with Israeli companies. Think about that. Don't think about it too much right now, because we'll get into it when we get into it. That'll probably be our second video. And then our third video is Jason Whitlock. He's bringing up something that we've spoken about. It's actually something that I've spoken with my big bro Pete a lot when it comes to identities and what identity we prioritize and how that plays a role in how we see the world. Now, when I say identity, and we've talked about it before, it's, do you identify as a Black man first, as a white man first? Do you identify as a Christian first, Muslim first, a Jewish person first? Do you identify as a member of the LGBTQ first? Do you identify as an American first? All these different identities, they tend to be prioritized in different scenarios, and it determines our perspective and how we see things, how we condone things, and how we rationalize things in a lot of different areas of life. And we have a few different videos that are going to touch on that, where people forget that maybe the primary identity that we should identify with is that we're all God's children, because that'll get us back to that oneness that we discuss from time to time. So let's get into it. First video, what did we say we're going to start off with? Nelson Mandela. So this is at City College of New York, which got me thinking. Shout out to City College of New York. You know, my dad's a graduate from City College of New York. And shout out to President Vince and Vice President Didi. Those are my people. And this interview actually got me thinking, like, yo, we should do something at City College. But yeah, let's just get into the video. Enough of me talking. All right, let me share this screen. And the only thing that I may adjust, just as I'm looking at it, I may move this to the other side for the next video. But it's all good. All right, y'all seeing the ADD kicking in. All right, let's get to it. So Nelson Mandela on his support for the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, the Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat, and the Palestinian struggle for self-determination. This is with Ted Koppel. Let's get into it. Oh, good thing I read it because it wasn't on the screen.
Tonight, the issues and the controversy. 1,000 people have gathered at the City College of New York for a town meeting with Nelson Mandela. Mr. Mandela, you're participating in what is a very old and honorable American tradition, the town meeting. And rather than waste any time with my questions, if they don't ask you good ones, I promise I will try to.
Those of us who share your struggle for human rights and against apartheid have been somewhat disappointed by the models of human rights that you have held up since being released in jail. You've met over the last 6 months 3 times with Yasser Arafat. Are these your models of leaders of human rights? And if so, would you want a Gaddafi or an Arafat or a Castro to be a future president of South Africa?
One of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies.
I know it was on mute. It was on mute. I know Maya called me. It was on mute. It was on mute. All right, so very quickly. I was moving the desk. I just couldn't, this thing was in the way. All right, so this is a common concept that comes up a lot that we hear from a lot of our leaders. Now, we see this happening when it comes to Israel and Palestine, where what? We always hear about people saying that we have the same enemies. We share the same enemies, so therefore us supporting Israel, it's in our best interest. Israel's our greatest ally. Well, of course, we have the same enemies when we provide Israel weapons to do whatever they do in that region. In whatever war that Israel decides to go into, we back them. When Netanyahu comes to America and says we need to go to war with Iraq because they have weapons of mass destruction, and then 500,000 children are killed, and we have our Madeleine Albright, our politicians in America saying that was justified, you can understand how that region would look at us in a particular way. Now, Nelson Mandela made the comment here where he's saying that a lot of times political analysts and just people in general make the mistake of thinking that, and it's a real arrogant mistake when you look at it. Just because America has enemies, in what world do you think that means that your enemies should be our enemies? These people are your enemies based on your relationship with them. And this is something that we see in a day-to-day life, right? Day-to-day life. Oh, you expect me not to like that person because you don't like that person? Well, tell me what's the reason that you don't like that person? Oh, because you tried to bully that person and they stood up to it? Now, it's different when it's a moral issue. Like, let's say, oh, I don't like that person because I found out that they do this with little kids or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Then it's okay. This is a moral standpoint. But just to, oh, I got beef with that person, so therefore you should have beef with that person. This is the most childish way of doing things. And to be totally honest, this is how a lot of our relationships in the Middle East have been tarnished. Oh, well, that's your enemy. And you got Netanyahu gassing it up, adding fuel to the fire, talking about, yeah, Iran, they look at us as America as the big Satan, and they look at Israel, we're just a little bro, we're just a little Satan. You got Netanyahu coming on interviews talking about repeating over and over that Iran put out an assassination attempt on Trump, but then you got Ted Cruz admitting like, yeah, he misspoke about that. But Netanyahu continues to say it to continue to rile the American population up in order to be okay, really just getting manipulated in order to be okay with anything that Israel does in supporting them. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Thank you, Maya, for that.
Our attitude towards any country is determined by the attitude of that country to our struggle. Yasser Arafat, Colonel Gaddafi, Fidel Castro support our struggle to the hilt. They do not support it only in rhetoric. They are placing resources at our disposal for us to win the struggle. That is the position.
Mr. Mandela, as I mentioned to you before the...
And what's so funny and why I say it's arrogant is it's almost like we can understand, okay, Israel, that's our ally, so we rock with them. But then we just think because we're the big bully on the block that Nelson Mandela, they can't have allies of their own outside, like America just controls all the allies, Israel just controls all the allies and determines who can be friends with everybody. You know, we've all been in school. It's like grade school where you have those kids in class that think they run stuff and think that they can determine, oh no, you're going to be friends with them. Oh, you're not going to. We've all seen this happen. It is the most childish thing. It is the most arrogant thing, but it happens. So here, Nelson Mandela, he's standing on the fact like, okay, they are actually not only, they are supporting our cause. They're supporting our liberation. So why should we turn our back on them just because America has an issue with them? And you know what it does more than anything? And why I wanted to play this, or maybe some of the value that we'll get from playing this, is it makes me want to go back and look into Arafat. It makes me want to go back and look into Gaddafi more, right? It makes me want to look into why they killed Gaddafi. What was he doing? Why was that so important for them to kill Gaddafi? What propaganda were they giving us in order to justify and in order to make us feel better or okay about, oh yeah, we need to kill Gaddafi. He was bad to his people. Oh, so now America's the police of all these regions? Well, let me look into Castro. Castro's a unique one because Castro, from my understanding, had a lot of different ties to Black people in the civil rights movement. I've been to, Castro, I have friends, parents who were very close to the civil rights movement. And I remember being in their house, this is maybe in high school, and one of my buddy's mom, she's bringing out pictures. And I came across one, I was like, yo, who? And I pointed to the person and it was Castro. And I don't even know if I understood why America hated Castro. I'm not sure if I understand right now why America, why we were brought up to hate Fidel Castro. I was never taught that in school. It was just something that I probably overheard on the news while my parents had it on, and I just, took away from it like, oh, Castro, bad guy, cool. But then when I was sitting there, I saw Castro in the picture with my friend's mom and my friend's dad, and I'm sitting there asking her questions like, yo, was he a good person or a bad person? Like, she kind of could see me processing everything. And she just kind of told me that, pretty much said something like, things aren't always what they seem. Things aren't always what they seem. And I just left it alone. So maybe we should do a little bit more digging into a lot of these things, because if what is happening right now, and especially with the advancements in social media and technology, where we're able to see certain things and be exposed to certain things that perhaps our parents were not. Our parents didn't have TikTok where people could just jump on camera and tell us exactly what's really happening in a region. They didn't have that. It's funny because I heard the other day somebody was saying how, I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we actually may play a video of later. She was saying how Fox News is simply propaganda for the baby boomers who are conservative, and MSNBC is just propaganda for the baby boomers that are liberal, however you want to describe it, Democrats. It's all propaganda based. So they look at things a lot differently than we look at things. We'll look into stuff. We can just YouTube something. There's plenty of documentaries on Castro, plenty of documentaries on Arafat that give opposing views to what we were brought up adopting. And the reason why I say adopting is because we weren't even taught it. We weren't taught to hate a lot of the people that we hate, that we see as terrorists. It's almost like we were just like, no, they're bad, and you know, a little propaganda here and there, and we just accepted it. But let's keep going with the video. Let's keep going.
Program. We also have some distinguished guests sitting behind us, one of whom, Mr. Henry Sigmund, together with two other Jewish leaders, came to Geneva to visit with you precisely because they were so concerned not only by the kind of thing that you just said before the break with regard to Yasser Arafat, with regard to Libya's Colonel Gaddafi, but also because of the support that you seemed at different times to give to the PLO. I would like to ask Mr. Sigmund to stand now for a moment and pose whatever question he would like directly to you. Mr. Sigmund?
I think I would be dishonest if I did not express profound disappointment with the answer that Mr. Mandela gave to the previous question, because it suggests a certain degree of amorality.
As far as Yasser Arafat is concerned, I explained to Mr. Sigmund that we identify with the PLO because just like ourselves, they are fighting for the right of self-determination.
Mr. Mandela.
Can we just stop it here? I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but the more I see videos like this, the more I see certain perspectives right now when it comes to Israel and Palestine. And if you guys didn't catch the show on Wednesday, we reviewed a very interesting video about how Israel was created. How Israel was created. How Britain pretty much signed a deal, worked something out with America to give away land that wasn't theirs in order to give Jewish people a homeland of Israel, because a lot of these anti-Semitic nations, these anti-Semitic European countries, they did not want Jewish people in their countries. So therefore, they pretty much just struck a deal, or you know, Britain had colonized Palestine. So therefore they said, you know what, we'll just give them this land. Neither here nor there, but I just want you to keep that mindset. Just wanted to tune that in. When it comes to what we're seeing, whether it's Israel, certain opinions and how people are entitled to certain things, America, our involvement, hearing some of these questions, this man pretty much just told Nelson Mandela, like, I'm disappointed in you based on your previous answer to the question because of your morals. Who is America? Who are any of these Americans to talk about the moral compass of another leader like Nelson Mandela, somebody who is regarded as one of the greatest human beings to ever live? But this is the audacity that is created when you become the bully in the neighborhood, which America has become. We totally disregard the fact that we had zero or less than a negative moral compass when it comes to how we even created America. But then we want to set standards and morality for other people when they're struggling to find their own liberation. We have been completely fooled. When I think about the education that I received in school, this public school education for the most part, a couple of years of private school, especially on the public school side of things, we are completely misled. It would probably take the majority of us, because you work and stuff after school and whatnot, the same amount of time that we go to school. What is that? 14 years if you do pre-K, kindergarten, and then go to high school and graduate high school. It would probably take 14 years for people to unlearn and learn actually the true perspective of how a lot of these things, and I say perhaps happen because none of us really know. But I think that if we took the time to learn that we clearly were taught, we clearly were taught things in a perspective that was not true. That was propaganda. Our entire history, our entire learned history, we get mad at DeSantis for certain things that he's doing in Florida, taking certain things out. Cool, be mad at DeSantis. Be mad at DeSantis. But what about the things that we were taught on a regular basis, all of us, our entire upbringing? Are we actually going to do the due diligence to spend more time researching history, looking at YouTube videos than we do watching the news? Because what do the baby boomers do? Let's just be totally honest. The baby boomers watch so much of the news, they don't even know what history, as far as, and I should say, they don't even have a understanding or an unbiased, objective perspective of history to even question some of these things. They look, and it's not their fault. They just were brought up during times where they did not have access to education the way that we do. They did not have access to where we could just jump on YouTube and look up these things. So we don't even know the things to call out. So what do we end up doing? We keep repeating this cycle. We keep passing down this belief, this perspective of how to see the world, which is completely biased.
We have ripped through the first part of this broadcast extraordinarily quickly. There are still a number of issues that we have to take up with Mr. Mandela, not the least of them being sanctions by the United States against South Africa. We will continue with that in the Nightline segment of this broadcast. Just a quick break now. We'll be back. And we are back once again at the City College of New York with Nelson Mandela. And Mr. Mandela, we have just heard a number of the things that you said in our hour between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock this evening. Some controversial things, not the kinds of things necessarily that a very political man says. If you were very political, you might have been more concerned about not alienating some people in this country who have it within their hands, within their power, either to continue sanctions against South Africa or to raise those sanctions, to lift them. Why were you not a little more political? Perhaps we're too accustomed to politicians in this country.
I do not understand what you mean. Perhaps if you clarify what you are referring to, I may be in a position to comment.
What I'm saying is that in this country, for example, there has been for many years a close alliance between the Jewish population and the black population in the civil rights struggle. There is likely to be a rather negative reaction to some of the things that you have said. That reaction could very well cause people to call up their congressmen, their senators, and say, go ahead, lift the sanctions. Why not? After all, President de Klerk is doing a great deal against apartheid. Only today, in fact, his number 2 man, Gerrit Viljoen, said that the government perceives itself in South Africa as being part of the anti-apartheid struggle.
So pretty much, why don't you position yourself in a way to be more politically correct, and to be more favorable? Say what we want you to say. So therefore, maybe we'll give you some help.
As far as the Jewish question to begin with, I have had discussions at my own initiative with prominent Jewish leaders to straighten out this affair. Amongst the people I saw was Mrs. Helen Suzman, who has been an MP in our country for more than 30 years. There was Mr. Masons, who has been a judge in Lesotho, Botswana, and the old Rhodesia. There was the chief rabbi of Johannesburg. There was Professor Katz from the University of Witwatersrand, and an eminent community leader in South Africa. We discussed this question and all misunderstanding was clear. The question of Yasser Arafat and the PLO. I have also discussed the question with the Jewish leaders in the USA and very top people like Mr. Sigmund. We reached an agreement on this question and we saw eye to eye. Now, I don't know where your concern arises. The Jewish leaders themselves are able to determine their own affairs. Nobody else is entitled to say that the Jewish leaders are going to be concerned about your stand. Because I have had the discussions with them, and those discussions will reach consensus. But there are matters, of course, in which we did not agree. But the position which we take as the ANC, I thought we were able to explain it in such a way that it removed the concern of the Jewish community.
Let's broaden it
I
out.
am still prepared to do that even in this talk. If the Jewish leader have any doubts about our stand, I am prepared to address them and to allay their concern, because they are a very important community both in South Africa and, of course, in the States. And I'm prepared to iron out any differences that might exist. But they must know what our stand is. Arafat is a comrade in arms, and we treat him as such. We have many Jews, members of the Jewish community in our struggle, and they have occupied very top positions.
Sorry, there was just a break, and I wanted to address the question that was asked. I don't know where this narrative comes from, and it seems to be just another source of indoctrination. Matter of fact, let's ask ChatGPT. I don't know where this narrative comes from, where Jewish people and Black people have been aligned in a particular struggle. And the reason why it bothers me when I hear stuff like that is because a lot of people have held on to the coattails of Black people frontlining and being the pawns in whatever struggle, right? We'll fight for our civil rights, and then meanwhile, other people will jump on board and use us as the ones, the dummies that are going to get out there on the front line and be dying and sacrificing things while they push along the things that they want. We saw that with the women's movement. We saw that with a lot of the Hispanic community. I'm just being honest, based on the research that I've done looking at the civil rights movement. You can look at DEI right now. Who is DEI supposed to benefit? It's supposed to benefit Black Americans, right? But who does it benefit first and foremost? Based on the numbers, it says white women. Black people are like number 5 on the list. We've seen this over and over and over, where people will align themselves and attach themselves to our struggle, act as if they're really in the trenches with us, but really just take the benefits that come along with it. And when it's their struggle, they never allow us to attach ourselves to their struggle. Just like with the Black Lives Matter, when it turned into a trans movement. It's like, wait. We went from standing up talking Black Lives Matter because Black people were getting killed, mostly Black men, and now we completely turned and shifted the movement into a trans movement. And if you don't believe me, just based on the rhetoric, go look at some of these documentaries that they've done on Black Lives Matter. Candace Owens did one, and look at where the money went to. Look at where they took. Look at where they donated the money to. It was a bunch of trans organizations. Just look at it. Excuse me. All right, so I got to ask this. Let me share the screen with you guys. Because I've discussed religion for a while. And I remember about 10 years ago, I was having a conversation with somebody that I know, and they were trying to tell me that, oh, well, the Jewish people have always supported the Black struggle. I'm like, where and when? What are you talking about? Where and when? Like, is that just something that you feel that you could just tell me and I'm not going to look it up? Let me look on ChatGPT. Let me make sure you guys can see it. Let me make sure you guys can see the screen. New chat. Why do people say that Jewish people have always been with Black people in their struggle? Struggle for equality and rights. The statement that Jewish people have always been with Black people in their struggle for equality and rights is rooted in historical alliances and shared experiences of oppression. Both groups have faced systemic discrimination and marginalization, though in different contexts and historical periods. Here are a few key points that explain why this sentiment exists. Both Jewish and Black communities have endured significant persecution. Okay, so both. Let's go to number 2. During the American Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s, Jewish activists were notably involved in the fight for racial equality. For instance, Jewish leaders like Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel marched alongside Dr. Martin Luther King. Several Jewish individuals played key roles in organizing events like the March on Washington. First off, and this is exactly why I'm glad that I looked this up. Look at the March on Washington. The March on Washington with Martin Luther King Jr., if you actually understand the history behind the March on Washington, that was not something that was deemed as favorable to Black people. What they did was they pushed Martin Luther King, and they told a lot of the other civil rights activists who were, how can I put it, more what they would call Black nationalists, people who were standing up for Black people to do more for self instead of just relying on the government. They didn't allow those people to be involved. They just wanted MLK to come up here, smile for everybody, I have a dream, all that type of energy. That's what the March on Washington. Yeah, both communities have historically been active in movements. Some Jewish traditions emphasize, stop it. You can say the same thing about white Christian Americans. There were some white Christian Americans that notably marched alongside Dr. Martin Luther King. Stop that. I don't buy into that. I do not buy into that. Acting as if Jewish people were coming across or coming on boats and standing up as in fighting with Frederick Douglass stop it. It just gets overemphasized, in my opinion, and it's not realistic. It's just another tool that is used to silence us and to keep us quiet on certain things and to not be able to speak on what we see maybe happening in regions like the Middle East because Jewish people have aligned with Black people in a particular struggle, then yeah, you shouldn't comment on anything that's going on. You should just give the green light to Israel to do anything in that region when it comes to the Arab people. Stop it. I don't buy into that. Everybody says that. Where did it highlight? What event did it show here? What event did it show here to where Jewish people were aligned with Black people? What policies does it say that Jewish people put in play that help Black people? Like, I don't buy into it. Let's keep going.
We have many Jews, members of the Jewish community in our struggle, and they have occupied very top positions. But that does not mean to say that the enemies of Israel are our enemies. We refuse to take that position. You can call it being political or a moral question, but for anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
And we're acting as if we have not seen this happen over and over. This is how groups have been infiltrated. This is why Dr. Umar, shout out to Dr. Umar, only wants to take funding from certain people. Now, I'm not saying that I would do it just the way that he's doing it, where only Black people can donate to his school. I'm not saying that. But what he's doing is based out of the fear. When you take money from different organizations, when you have different people that, let's say, contribute to your struggle, what do we see happening in politics? What do we see a lot of politicians complaining about with AIPAC? So you have certain people that contribute to your struggle and say, hey, we're with you in this cause. Wait, we're with you in this cause. So now you have to have the same enemies that we have. It's all a strategy that is used to gain influence. That's all it is. And we see it playing out in front of our eyes right now with a lot of these situations that are occurring, whether it's the Middle East, mainly just Israel, Palestine, but it used to be with Ukraine and Russia. But a lot of these things, no. You think because you say that you support my group, that now you as individuals who support my group, now I'm going to align with everything that your greater group aligns with, and we're going to share the same common enemies? No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. When you joined my group, you didn't accept my common enemies as your enemies, but now you expect me to do the same in return. It doesn't work like that. No.
Apparently, Mr. Coppel, you have not listened to my argument. If you have done so, then you have not been serious in examining it. I have replied to one of our friends here that I have refused to be drawn into the differences that exist between various communities inside the USA. You have not commented that I am going to offend anybody by refusing to involve myself in the internal affairs of the USA. of the USA. Why are you so keen that I should involve myself in the internal affairs of Cuba and Libya?
No.
I expect you to be consistent. I don't know if I have paralyzed you.
No.
Very quickly, I want us to reference something right here. George Washington is something that I heard the other day, so I figured I'd look it up. George Washington's views on American involvement in international affairs are most famously expressed in his farewell address in 1796. In this address, he warned the nation against entangling alliances and becoming too involved in foreign conflicts. Key points from his address include avoiding permanent alliances. Washington, let me make sure I'm not on mute because I just got up. All right. Avoiding permanent alliances. Washington advised the U.S. to avoid forming permanent alliances with foreign countries, particularly European powers. He believed that such alliances could drag the U.S. into unnecessary conflicts and distractions from its primary focus on domestic stability and growth. Neutrality. He stressed the importance of maintaining a neutral stance in foreign conflicts. Washington argued that the United States should avoid becoming entangled in the complex alliances and disputes between European nations, as these could threaten the nation's security and independence. Peace and friendship with all nations. While Washington acknowledged the importance of trade and commerce with other nations, he emphasized that the U.S. should seek to maintain peaceful and friendly relations without taking sides in foreign disputes. Focus on internal development. Washington's broader point was that the young nation should prioritize its own internal development, political unity, economic growth, and territorial expansion over becoming involved in European or international power struggles. In essence, Washington's advice was centered on a policy of isolationism in terms of military alliances and foreign entanglements, believing that the U.S. should focus on its own national interest and avoid being drawn into foreign conflicts. This stance influenced U.S. foreign policy for much of the 19th century. Having a convo with my big bro Pete the other day. A lot of times we go back and listen to the words of leaders from the past and we're like, oh my God, these people were prophets. I can listen to Malcolm X right now, and it sounds like he's talking about what's going on right now. What I just read to you with George Washington was his farewell address in 1796, and tell me that it doesn't directly apply. This sounds like he's talking about exactly what's going on between Israel and Palestine right now. The reasons why they sound like prophets, because this is just a repeating cycle. But if we don't know the history, then what ends up happening? It'll repeat itself. They dumb us down. They indoctrinate us with a perspective that they only want us to see. We're like these people that really run the country almost have to be sitting back like, damn, I can't believe that they're this dumb. I can't believe that they continue to fall for the same old trick. It's like you already ran this trick play. You're going to allow them to keep running the same play and look around as if you don't know what's going to happen? So George Washington sounds pretty America first to me. What it sounds like is focus on America. Get your own home together before you start getting involved in other cribs down the street and in other towns and in other states. Focus on your stuff, because as soon as you start meddling in politics with other nations and stuff, then you get forced to have certain alliances. You're creating enemies and ultimately compromising the safety of America and American citizens. And what do we see happening now? We got Netanyahu threatening, Iran, they look at the United States as the big Satan. What do you think George Washington would think about this? What do y'all think George Washington would think about this? This is common sense. This is stuff that we grow up learning in our household, hopefully. Take care of your home first, and then you gotta do chores in this house before you start. My dad specifically, but my mom as well. But my dad, I remember we used to want to go make money shoveling snow at our neighbor's house, or go make money cutting the grass of somebody else's lawn. No. You shovel our driveway first. Then you can go do whatever you want with the neighbors. You cut our grass first. Then you can go do whatever you want with the neighbors. You do your chores in the house. And then you can go outside and do whatever it is that you want. This is common sense. But we do not apply this logic to our foreign affairs. Oh, we're in debt however many $1 trillion. Israel's economy is doing way better than us. They're able to provide health care, able to give kids an opportunity to go to college, help them a lot more than we help our citizens. They're able to do birthright for a lot of any Jewish American. They can go back to Israel. Meanwhile, oh, no, we'll give them, billions of dollars because, it's weapons and stuff like that. And, we want. And even more than the billions of dollars, it's the support. It's the big brother coming to the rescue and gassing you up and putting the battery in your back to have everybody else in that region hate us because of our relationship. This is not what George Washington says. So why is what I'm saying? Do you guys ever wonder, why is what I'm saying considered not the norm? Why is this George Washington farewell address? Why is this not brought up? We bring up all the scripture to justify why we should go to war, to justify why we should kill this group, that have nothing to do with us. But we don't even take the advice of George Washington. We didn't learn this, and I never learned this. I learned this a week ago. And this was the first time that I looked it up on the show with you all. Why aren't we learning these things that should be shaping our perspectives, but instead we're fed propaganda by MSNBC and Fox News to get us to have a certain perspective, a biased perspective that condones whatever it is the government wants us to do, that condones whatever it is Big Pharma's behind. No need to throw the ball when running up the middle works every time. And that's a good point, Steve, because it's not even like they're running trick plays at this point. They're literally just running the ball up the middle, and we're confused. They're not even running trick plays. This is right in front of our face. It took me 5 seconds to look this farewell address up. Just asking. Unc said it's a horrible person that will would not clean their kitchen, but go to work to clean Burger King's kitchen. Unc said there are no homeless shelters in Israel. Interesting point. Y'all, and this is not an attack on Israel. However, you can take it that way, because what I'm saying is, nah, we just can't continue to do certain things that put us at risk and that prioritize Israel more than America. America, I'm attacking America. Why are we condoning this? Why are we allowing this? We care about it's hard to care about and police the things that your kids learn in school when you as a parent don't have a proper understanding of things. It's hard to teach your kids proper historical perspective when you're not interested in learning proper historical perspective, when you'd rather just get your information from the news, when you don't want to read books about the history of America, when you don't want to watch YouTube documentaries, when you're not into that type of stuff, when you don't care about the Holocaust and learning about, well, okay, Hitler, okay, so they taught us this about Hitler. And then we saw Jesse Owens go over there for the Olympics, and Hitler being such an evil person, why would Jesse Owens say that he was treated better by Hitler and the Nazis than he was when he returned back home to America? Now, people will hear that and say, like, are you celebrating Hitler? Are you celebrating the Nazis? No, dummy. I'm criticizing America. But we're the moral compass for everything, right? Let's continue. Let's continue. What's the next video that I want to take a look at with you all? What is the next video that I want to take up? Let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about Trump and this FEMA. And you know, I heard somebody say it, and it's probably somebody who a lot of people think is Nick Fuentes. I'm gonna paraphrase. Somebody who's seen as a white supremacist, hates black people, hates Jewish people. Cool. He said that the worst part of what's happening with Israel, and don't quote me on this, it's not an exact quote, this is what I took away from his comment, is the fact of how the light that it will put so many Jewish Americans in. And I talked about this before. What do? We tend to judge people by the most radical people in their group. And it's a shame. It's a shame that that's going to happen, and hopefully it doesn't happen. But let's get into this, and this is another example of what we're getting ready to get into as far as something else that's going to make us look at Jewish Americans some type of way, just based on what the government is doing with Israel. Now, should it be that way? No. Should we judge all cops for the bad actions of a few radical ones? No. But what did we say the other day? It would help, if a few of the good cops, raised their hand or at least stood out and condemned the ones that were doing bad stuff. That would help. You don't have to, it's not your responsibility, perhaps. It's not your obligation, whatever, to do such things. Well, then you kind of got to understand human nature and accept that that's what people are going to do. Happens with black people all the time. It is what it is. That's how life goes. That's how human nature is. Let's get into this video.
The situation with FEMA has somehow found a way to get even worse than it was. In the waning days of the federal obligation to assist with disaster preparedness and response, they find a way to put the American people behind not only like the donors or their desire to give tax cuts or whatever, but to literal foreign governments. And so here we're talking about the fact that any states and cities that do like a boycott of Israeli companies, the BDS movement that you've probably heard about, are gonna be denied funding for disaster preparedness, because the Trump administration's position is you owe more loyalty to corporations of Israel than they do to you, which is certainly a message to send to the American people, but they're sending it. And so grant notices were posted just a couple days ago by FEMA that said that applicants must comply with its terms and conditions. And when you dig into those, which they're hoping you will not, it includes certifying that they will not cut off commercial relations specifically with Israeli companies to remain eligible for assistance. It states discriminatory prohibited boycott means refusing to deal, cutting commercial relations, or otherwise limiting commercial relations specifically with Israeli companies or with companies doing business in or with Israel or authorized by blah, 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 Israel. And that is fascinating.
So just to make it very clear, he's saying that the states, the cities, whatever, if you no longer want to do business with Israeli businesses, they're cutting off your FEMA disaster aid. Do you understand how insane that is for an American president and his administration to tell Americans, the American government, the American agencies, that if you stop doing business with Israel and their businesses, we will cut off your disaster relief? This is insane. I don't know. I'm to the point where, every day I ask myself, do I regret voting for Trump? Am I to the point where if I had to do it again, I wouldn't vote for him? I told myself that I would give myself over the weekend to reconsider and not say anything as far as, when I get on the show today and say like, I wouldn't vote for him again. So I'm going to stick to my word. But this is insane. I don't know what metaphoric gun or what, let me not even say metaphor. I don't know what influence is making Trump completely turn on his base. Like you were running a campaign based on putting America first and prioritizing America. And now you are cutting off aid, FEMA disaster relief aid. If a company doesn't want to work with if the city and state agencies do not want to do business with Israeli companies, this is insane. And they actually knew it was insane because they tried to change it on the low. They did change this. I think it was a day later, they may mention it, a day later they removed any mention of Israel in this. But the fact that they tried to get this across, like, I don't know who is consulting Donald Trump. I do not know what is going on right now. But when it comes to any involvement on a topic with Israel, he completely just seems to it's so irrational to the things that he's doing. He's doing the opposite of things that he campaigned on. He's getting frustrated, he's cursing, he's saying they don't know what the F they're doing, but then he's continuously supporting them. He's saying, oh yeah, there's a starvation camp, they're starving the Palestinian kids and we need to get involved. But then you continue to put the battery in Netanyahu. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Let's continue.
Right? Like you were probably assuming, oh, what they must have done is they've got some tricky wording where it turns out that they just mean Israel or whatever. Or maybe like they secretly want to stop you from boycotting Israel. So what they did is states can't boycott any country. Nope. It literally just says Israel. You can boycott Norway, you can boycott Madagascar, Vietnam can go F itself as far as your state is concerned, but not Israel. That one country you do not get to choose And by the way, this is FEMA under Donald Trump. He's a Republican. What do Republicans believe in? Oh, states' rights. Oh, they love them some states' rights and free speech. You can't compel people's economic activity. Unless it's about an Israeli corporation, then screw you and your state's rights. Your state doesn't get to choose who they do business with, and you don't get to choose what corporations you do business with either. You have to provide money to Israel, or else come earthquakes, come floods, hurricanes, twisters, whatever, you might be screwed, okay? And we're not gonna help you. We're not gonna help you get prepared for it, and we're probably not gonna help you in the aftermath either. Because and this is not implication. This isn't me connecting the dots on a blackboard or whatever. There's no Pepe Sylvia here. They are literally putting Israel's commercial interests ahead of the interests of American states and cities. And many of these states and cities are likely to be blue, but not all of them. And even the ones that are almost certainly filled with 20 to 45% Republicans who are now SOL. Okay, as far as the Republicans in the federal government believe, like if you're like a good conservative living in Austin, if you're literally Alex Jones, you're screwed, buddy. If they decide to participate in BDS, that's what they're doing. And the thing is, like, I'm freaking out about this. A lot on the right are freaking out about this because Donald Trump doesn't seem to understand that his base does not understand why American interests are so often put behind the interests of the Israeli government. And one of them, and I don't like having to talk about her ever, I don't like having to give her credit, is Candace Owens, who tweeted a whole bunch about this, saying things like, denying Americans who won't support the genocide being conducted by your friends. Trump has fully betrayed America for Netanyahu, and if you cannot see that now, you are completely blind. Best 100 million Miriam Adelson ever spent. Talking about, again, this isn't just that he's doing this on behalf of the Israeli government, he's doing this on behalf of his campaign donors. He is bought like virtually every other politician in America.
Which is what we were talking about when it comes to Nelson Mandela. If you getting involved in my organization and you think I'm going to take on everything that you want me to take on, your enemies, your initiatives, your agenda, then you're confused on how this works. But because American politicians are bought and paid for it, this is what happens. This is what happens. So that's the 100 million that he's referring to.
And she says, no matter how many times you say it, it is not racial discrimination to boycott a country in the Middle East. Israel is not a race. It is a country currently being run by murderous psychopaths who blackmail and control American politicians. Okay, I don't necessarily know directly about the blackmail or whatever, or the control, although we know that they provide a lot of campaign funding. Not only from people whose interests are directly aligned with Israel, like the Adelsons, but also.
And real quick, I want to go back to that graphic. It says there's no FEMA requirement tied to Israel in any current NOFO, whatever that means. No states have lost funding and no new conditions have been imposed. FEMA grants remain governed by existing law and policy, not political litmus test. This is because they changed it. I told y'all they changed it. DHS terms and condition only now remove the section stating boycott means refusing to deal, cutting commercial relations, or otherwise limiting commercial relations specifically with Israeli companies. So they just changed it and then try to, yeah. Let's I think we heard enough of that. I want to move on to this next video about the same topic. All right, we're gonna get into a series that discusses a lot of the same things. All right, so I want y'all to this whole connection and it's hurting the relations between for Jewish Americans. It's really hurting how Jewish Americans are perceived, in my opinion. This is hurting it because you have certain things where it's like when you have that kid in the classroom, this is what happens. Well, I can't reference my mom. She's at her exercise class, so she's not. On Fridays, she can only tune in until about 8:45 now. But think back to when you were in the classroom, and the teacher you got the teacher's pet. The teacher's acting favorable to one kid. Like that's just you're doing certain things for that kid, treating them like your pet that you wouldn't the other kids. What ends up happening? How do all of us other kids look at that kid that's the teacher's pet? Where we're sitting back wondering like, yo, that's unfair. Why are they getting all this favorable treatment? Like, why are they getting treated better than us? Why do the rules not apply to this person? It makes us dislike that. The kid may not have even done anything. The kid may not have asked the teacher to say, hey, treat me favorably. Now, the kid could say, hey, I don't want to be treated like this. But what kid is actually going to do that? Because that's a child. We're adults. But neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. Let's get into this video. Y'all let me know what y'all thoughts are.
A pastor goes viral for saying something that typically white preachers never say about Israel. Here it is.
Oh, yeah, gotta bless Israel or God won't bless you. Now, here's the thing. The modern-day nation of Israel is not a lucky rabbit's foot. As long as you rub it, God will be good to you. It doesn't work that way. But not only that, the Bible simply does not say that at all. The Bible does not say anywhere in the Bible to bless Israel, yet especially the modern-day nation of Israel. We had some visitors just last week that were down here for vacation, and that was one of their concerns, that the church that they're in is teaching political Zionism, and they're telling Christians that we have to support war in Iran, and they're teaching hatred as a commandment of man. Jesus said, blessed be the peacemakers. God is not a racist, and God doesn't approve of racism. This is so important, and many Christians have bought into this, and they want to hate every Arab or Palestinian because they believe they're going to be blessed being Israel's buddy, and any enemy of Israel must be my enemy. Folks, this is not in the Word of God, and frankly, it's shameful. Jesus said, blessed be the peacemakers.
Blessed be the peacemakers.
Blessed be the peacemakers. Blessed. Is that the right way? Blessed be the peacemakers. I hear them saying that. Let's keep going.
Makers. Thank you, Pastor Fanning. I know another text where Yahshua, the Christ, talked about whoever accepts this little one, this child, accepts me. Whoever accepts me accepts the one who sent me. Whoever rejects this child rejects the one who sent me. You see, I don't think the Christ was talking about one particular race or demographic or religion of children. He was talking about them all. So if you can justify the killing of children in Gaza to support a military industrial complex in Israel, understand you have veered completely off the context of your own scripture. Here,
this is the entire focus of this show. Religion has destroyed our spirituality. Religion has destroyed our spirituality. How so? Religion is just God's interpretation. Religion is just man's interpretation and man playing the middleman for our relationship with God. Spirituality. It's man creating rules in order to how you need to worship and what your relationship needs to be like with God in order to function in society, in order to get to this afterlife. It's man making their interpretation, man using God to control people. People are not living by their scriptures. And there's another video that we're going to watch later on today with Patrick Bet-David, where we got to call him out because people pick and choose when to use God as their moral compass. See, instead of using America as our moral compass, instead of using past wars as our moral compass for how we conduct wars now and what's right and what should be allowed, perhaps we just use God. But what did the video show that we played before? Matter of fact, did I played this on Wednesday. I played this video on Wednesday, and I want to play it for y'all now because I know a lot of people may not have tapped into the Wednesday show. Let me show y'all this. Let me show y'all this video real quick. Let me show y'all this. This is how people pick and choose which scripture they're going to use in order to represent their positions. Hold on, let me make sure that this is up. All right, you guys can see it real quick. 2 seconds, then we'll get right back to that other video.
As the book of Samuel says in the Bible, Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. The eternity of Israel will not falter.
It is the same Bible that tells us in the stories of the Old Testament, much which has guided many people across this world. But when we turn from the Old Testament to the New Testament, it is Romans that says to us, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, not any country, not any human being. So that the Bible can't be used as a convenient aid when it suits us and rejected when it doesn't. Mr. President.
So this is the Prime Minister of Barbados. So this is at the same, I want to be clear, this is at the same UN event. Same UN event. I had to go back and check. I was like, oh, let me look at the backdrop of Netanyahu speaking and then look at the back. Okay, they're at the same spot. Here you got Netanyahu using the Old Testament to condone certain things and to prop up Israel and what they're doing in the Middle East right now with Palestine. But then she jumps in and she actually brings scripture from the New Testament, in which it says, God, vengeance is for God, not for humans. Why? Because humans aren't responsible enough. Perhaps God knew, right? Y'all say the Bible's written by God. Okay, well, perhaps God knew that man wasn't responsible enough to choose vengeance, that he knew that man would use vengeance, man would manipulate it and use his name and use the religion in order to do such evil things and for it to be justified. We'll just look at the scripture. Just like Netanyahu did. Let's get back to this video. Let's get back to this one.
Here's what the pastor was talking about.
How some of Israel's biggest supporters back home are not necessarily American Jews, but evangelical Christians.
Most Christians will tell you, well, we love Israel because God says, I will bless those who bless my people.
So why do American evangelicals support a state that directly hurts Palestinians, including their fellow Christians?
You have my sisters and brothers who are supposed to be my support, actually doing all their best to support the ones who are oppressing us.
Here's something that might surprise you. White evangelical Christians in the U.S. are more than twice as likely as American Jews to believe that God gave Israel to the Jewish people.
Did y'all just hear that? Let me replay that. Let me replay that.
Here's something that might surprise you. White evangelical Christians in the U.S. are more than twice as likely as American Jews to believe that God gave Israel to the Jewish people.
White evangelical Christians in the United States of America are twice as likely than Jewish Americans to believe that God gave Israel to the Jewish people. This is the goofiness that goes on when people have limited information and can't call it out. Twice as many evangelical Christians believe, twice as many evangelical Christians compared to Jewish Americans. And the evangelical Christians in America, I'm talking about, over Jewish Americans, believe that God gave Israel to the Jewish people. This is why I think it's sad of the backlash that a lot of Jewish Americans are probably facing and will face. They don't even believe it at the rate of these evangelical Christians. The reason why, because these evangelical Christians, in my opinion, a lot of these people, they don't care. Religion, see, these people are using religion in demonic ways. Any connection with God is supposed to bring people together. Religion should be more aligned with spirituality and bring us together rather than separate us or do for selfish interest, which is why these evangelical Christians have decided to have this view of Israel, because they think that, oh, this just gets us closer to the return of Jesus. So they'll put everything, morals, principles out the window. They'll put their principles, the principles that Jesus Christ himself would align with, out the window. Back Israel, and whatever Israel decides to do with the Palestinians, doesn't matter how many kids die, doesn't matter any of that. We'll back Israel just like we backed Israel when it came to the weapons of mass destruction in the Iraq war, right? 500,000 kids dying, no problem. Oh, they didn't even have weapons of mass destruction. Oh, well, yeah, well, you know, still worked. War's good.
The title deed to the land of Israel is recorded in the Bible, which gives the Jewish people a clear and unclouded title to that land forever. It belongs to them, and it belongs to them only.
People that share this view are called Christian Zionists.
Christian Zionism is a belief that Israel plays a key prophetic role in the return of Jesus. So Christian Zionists believe that everything that happens with regard to the state of Israel, from its founding in 1948 to the war that is occurring right now in Gaza, are fulfillments of prophecy in the Bible.
Tonight, Christians here in Israel and in the United States and in Canada and all over the world are watching what's happening and asking critical questions. Is this horrific war in Gaza part of end times Bible prophecy?
Every time since the founding of Israel, when there's been major wars, American evangelicals who are interested in prophecy have gotten very excited about the possibility that this war is the war that signals the beginning of the return of Jesus to earth, which they believe will happen, and they believe Israel and wars conducted by Israel will be central to that. Every time there's a major conflict in the Middle East, the prophecy talk really ramps up.
Let's keep it simple. Netanyahu is in charge of a military. In the Old Testament reference to Israel, in the Old Testament reference to the nomadic nature of the, as you will call, Israeli people, is quite different than the current contextualization of military and war in the modern era. Netanyahu is no holy man. If he was a holy man protecting some kind of holy sacred thing, why is it that the very people of Israel protest Netanyahu? Why is it they are the ones who voted him out of totalitarian power? Why is it that as he has launched this insane war against innocent individuals who are not at war with them, why is it that they, meaning the people of Israel, are protesting him in the street?
Appreciate you. I think this brother's name is Rashad Richie, maybe, hold on. Richie, I believe. I want to move on to a different video where this mindset seems to be a reoccurring theme. This mindset of people being entitled to something, using God to conquer land, to take certain things that are not yours. Take a look at this video. This is on Manifest Destiny. We've talked about it a lot throughout the show. And when I was doing a little bit of digging on Manifest Destiny, I'm actually going to show you a video after this video talking about the doctrine of discovery, something that we haven't discussed. But in my head, I kind of just aligned it with Manifest Destiny. But let's learn a little bit about both.
Manifest Destiny was a 19th century belief in the United States that it was destined to expand its territory and spread its values across North America. Coined in 1845 by journalist John O'Sullivan, who argued that it was America's God-given mission to spread its influence and democratic ideals, Manifest Destiny was used to justify territorial expansion, particularly the annexation of Texas and the Mexican-American War. fueled by a combination of economic, political, and religious motives, as well as a sense of American exceptionalism, Manifest Destiny played a major role in the settlement and development of the American West. Manifest Destiny also established a national justification for imperialism and the exploitation of Native American lands, which has had a profound impact on American history and continues to shape the country's cultural identity today.
Definitely continues to shape it. This is the mindset that we've all adopted. We're better than that group of people, so therefore we should be able to take their land. And we'll force them to believe in our Savior and our religion. This is what happens. Let me show y'all this second video on the doctrine of discovery.
The doctrine of Curious about how history shaped our world today? The doctrine of discovery holds some answers. The doctrine of discovery, developed in the age of exploration, provided European powers with a legal and philosophical framework to claim lands inhabited by non-Christians. 1. European supremacy. It asserted that European Christian nations had a divine right to claim lands. 1. Christianizing the land tied to religious missions. It aimed to convert indigenous peoples.
Can I just stop it there? Because this is why, even when I said earlier, and perhaps this is why the gentleman talking to Nelson Mandela brought up a talking point that I've heard before, which is that Jewish people, Black people should be aligned with Jewish people because we've been aligned in the past based on the different struggles that we faced. Keeping that same mindset, okay, we should be aligned with Jewish people because we both face persecution, racism, different things. Okay. Something that Black people have also faced is having your land stolen by Europeans, having our land stolen by Europeans. Now, whether you believe the Native Americans, Black, however you see it, clearly we're learning today and on a lot of these shows that history is not what was presented to us in school, right? So however you see it. Based on the European presence, this manifest destiny, this doctrine of discovery, and understanding how certain things were taken from us because of this religious entitlement that people have associated themselves with, then I would expect Israel to understand that when we see what's happening, and when I say we, I'm talking about Black Americans, see what's happening in Israel and Palestine, and we can kind of say, oh, okay, a lot of this seems familiar. A lot of how they describe Palestinians as being less than, as if they're not even human beings, sounds very familiar with the justifications that were used to let the rest of the world know why slavery was okay, why American slavery was okay, why racializing slavery was okay. So we can understand that, right? This is what it's so obnoxious and arrogant to just sit back and not consider these things. Yeah, I've said on this show plenty of times before that my family has Native American background. If that's the case, and we understand a little bit of the history with Native Americans, right? Unless you just believe that, hey, we sat down for Thanksgiving dinner and then, oh my God, people got sick with blankets and, that's what got rid of the Americans. Well, we understand that the American government was paying for the scalps of Native Americans, right? Not from the military, but from common citizens as well. So you can understand from my perspective how when I see what's going on between Israel and Palestine, when I see certain land that was given to Israel, that land that was colonized by European powers, you can understand how we can kind of relate to the struggle of a lot of these Palestinian people. Or are you just naive or just that arrogant to think that Well, no, you should just align with us. Which one is it? Let's keep going with the video. Let's keep going with the video.
Christianizing the land tied to religious mission.
You stole people's land. You raped their women. You conquered America by doing all these things in the Americas in the name of God. This is why I started off the show by saying religion has become, mainstream religions have become the most demonic things in our world. All of this manifest destiny, all this doctrine of discovery, when they're saying that they conquered certain lands and it was okay as long as they weren't, the people in that territory weren't worshiping the same God, the same religion, who do you think they were worshiping? The religious people conquered the spiritual people, just like in America. The religious people were so ruthless. The European colonizers were so ruthless. Think about what it would take to conquer somebody else's land, the type of people, how radical you have to be. And then to use God to do so. And to have the battery in the back, your back put by having religion on your side as if you're doing something in God's name. You're committing demonic, devilish acts in God's name. And this is why the world is this is exactly why the world is as chaotic and has the turmoil that it has now. Because think about the people that are running the world. Think about the most powerful countries. They are the religious groups that conquered the spiritual groups.
It aimed to convert indigenous peoples and won sovereignty of the discovering power. New lands discovered were granted sovereignty. 1. Exclusion of indigenous claims. Indigenous peoples were deemed unable to claim sovereignty. 1. Papacy and religious backing. Rooted in papal edicts like Inter Caetera of 1493. 1. The right of discovery. Only European powers could claim new lands. 1. Transfer of title land possession transferred from indigenous peoples to Europeans. 1. Dominion over indigenous peoples. It allowed subjugation and governance of indigenous peoples. 1. Unilateral land claims. European powers declared sovereignty without indigenous consent. 1. Legal and international validation, entrenched in international law, impacting modern indigenous rights. Understanding these elements helps us grasp the profound impact of the doctrine of discovery on history and current indigenous rights.
And the reason why I say that I feel bad for the Jewish Americans, because I know that the impact that a lot of what's going on between Israel and Palestine is going to have as far as people's perception of Jewish Americans, is because I think back to how somebody like a Malcolm X could become the type of person that early on in his enlightenment, when he was under the leadership of the Nation of Islam, you can kind of, even if obviously we don't believe this now, that the white people are the devil and blue-eyed, whatever, the devil, right? But you can understand how a certain group of people can be led to believe something when they see their interactions represent exactly what is being told to them. You can understand how people in the Middle East would look at America as the big Satan, right? Like that's their, especially ones that are getting bombed, and the weapons that are killing them are provided by America. Like, we can understand these things. And this is what evil acts do. This is what radicalized people do. They ruin things for the rest of the class, right? So we can understand it in school, but we can't understand it on a global scale. And this is exactly why George Washington was saying, don't meddle in international affairs. Mind your business. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. We got a lot to discuss. So we're going to move on to a conversation that Jason Whitlock was having, and he was critical of something that Candace Owens said. He's a fan of Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, but you'll see. You should be able to call out your people. And I think it's a very interesting conversation centered around identity, right? We've talked a lot about identity. So this is a very interesting conversation. Let me go to 4602. Share this tab instead. All right, we'll start off here. Make sure you guys are seeing this. Let's dive into this conversation, and it's going to lead to a conversation with Patrick Bet-David.
I'm going to go a cut deeper here. This is where I bring Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson into this, and I know that's going to be fingernails on a chalkboard, and the ADL is going to run to my Wikipedia page and trash me even more. And I'm not saying any of this out of bitterness. I'm not saying any of this out of trying to pick a fight with anybody. I just want everybody to know what playing field we're playing on. And this second part of the deal, I want to correct something that Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson discussed. And everybody knows I like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is my guy. And, I like Candace Owens. She's beautiful and she's courageous. Anyway, let me play a clip here from Candace and Tucker. Just did an interview together, I believe on Friday. I watched it this weekend. And they had an interesting discussion about identity shaping your morality. And I want to correct them on something. Play the clip.
Whether you're allowing your identity to shape your morality is problematic, okay? And Israel, in and of itself, is the demonic nation. I will never support Israel, right? So I went from working for PragerU to I will never support Israel. So that's how much the scales have fallen from my eyes about what they are involved in. And if this isn't your wake-up call to just look at the footage of what they are doing, they're playing Hunger Games and like throwing food at them and then killing people and seeing who survives. It's just at your fingertips. You have to take a look at what Israel is doing.
Your point that if you allow your identity to determine your morality is a very deep and I think important point that I've never heard anybody put it that way, but it does feel like we're moving toward a world in which, all ethics are situational and it all depends on who I am and who my tribe is and what my identity is. And there isn't, to the extent there used to be, a sense of like universal standards that apply to everyone, otherwise known as principles. You clearly operate by those principles. Does that accelerate, or do we return to a moment where we can say, oh, no, there are universal standards of behavior. Truth is an unchanging thing. Whether we have it or not is debatable, but there is something called truth. There is an actual reality. Or does AI just make all of it?
I think the people that we're fighting wish that AI could make everything. I am troubled by AI. I'm troubled by people believing that AI is smart. It's obviously dumb.
And this isn't fear, this isn't cowardice, what I'm about to say, but it's just the truth of my existence. I don't know anything really about Gaza and Israel and what's been going over there. I don't know. I've heard people's opinions, but I truly don't know. I only have so much time in my day. And I only have, between watching Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, I only got so many things I can pay attention to. And I say that in jest, but with some seriousness, that I watch sports, I evaluate sports, I do a show that's based on sports. I like to read books, I like to read the Bible, I like watching Philip Anthony Mitchell sermons, I like, I got so much time. And so I'm not an expert, so I cannot comment. And I know many, what Candace just said about it, I truly don't know. I know what other people think. I don't know what I think about Gaza. And Candace's contention, comments from that, what I want to address is Candace's contention that allowing your identity to shape your morality is problematic. And I say this in love and in correction and in just trying to clarify Candace's comments. And when I see Tucker, not really co-signing, but not, he didn't correct. Or it was such a, because when she said it, I was like, that's an original thought. And I had the same reaction as Tucker, but then I instantly went to, it's an original thought that's wrong and misguided. Your identity should shape your morality. That is a good thing. It is not problematic. The identity you choose, that's the problem. Choose the wrong identity, you'll have the wrong morality. And so if you watch this show, you'll hear me say, hey, look at these crazy black people that are running around. I'm unapologetically black. That's my identity. And you'll listen to me on this show and say, and that's why you're immoral, demonic, stupid, not making progress. Racial idolatry will destroy you. And we're watching it in real time with black people. They've chosen the wrong identity. And that's why you hear me say, I've disavowed my black identity and I've chosen a Christian identity. And you'll hear a lot, oh, I don't get it. You can be black and a Christian. Where's that in the Bible? You can't serve two masters. You can't do it. And so what I want Tucker and Candace, and I'm talking about, I say this with respect and affection, I want them to understand that they're on the right path to discovering the problem and the disconnect and the division and the problems we have here in America. It is the American identity is a Christian one. And what has happened, and this is going to bother a lot of you racial idolaters, but the whole debate we have going on in America right now and all the division has to do with the founders and the people that still believe in the founding principles of America, that we're going to embrace a Christian identity and let that shape our morality, as opposed to the people that promote a tribal, race-based, ethnicity-based identity. That's the feud. Christian identity, tribal identity.
So let me step in here for a bit. Let me step in, big bro. And let me say this affectionately, with affection to Jason Whitlock. Y'all know Jason Whitlock, that's my guy. I understand everything that he's saying. When Candace Owens, and let me break it down from what Candace said, that identity shaping morality is problematic. It is, because of what Jason Whitlock is pointing out. Most people prioritize certain identities that we shouldn't be prioritizing. So if you prioritize your identity as, oh, I'm Israeli, so therefore I'm doing everything with it, whatever Israelis do, I'm with it. If you prioritize your identity, let's say with your job, that may compromise your morals overall with being a member of a community. You could be in a job that, hey, I got to make a lot of money, but no different than a drug dealer. Let's say you're working with a pharmaceutical company. You're selling drugs that these opioids that are harming people perhaps, right? But you prioritize, hey, well, this is my job. Yeah, but what about humanity? What about your morals and principles of humanity? So I understand what Candace Owens is saying from her perspective. She's saying based on how people choose their identities, you should not allow your morals and principles to be shaped by that. What Jason Whitlock is saying is absolutely you should allow your morals to be shaped by your identity. The problem is people are choosing the wrong identity. He's saying that he chooses the Christian identity. He's saying that we're in a battle between Christians, that identity, and the tribalism of everybody else. But where I'm going to push back on Jason Whitlock is to say that Christianity is a tribe. Religion creates tribalism. How does religion create tribalism? Have you spoken to a lot of Jewish people and how they feel about Jesus? Not very favorably. Have you heard Ben Shapiro describe his thoughts on Jesus? Then when you hear Christians say Christ is king, king of all kings, how do you expect the other religious groups to feel about that? Well, yeah, you have kings, but our king is the king of all kings. That is tribalism. It's separation. All these different groups, all these different sects, all these different gangs. No different than we can look at in South Central or in Chicago, and you got people living on the families, people that are related together, just living up the street on the next block. They're going to war with each other because different sects, different gang sets, right? Well, people will say like, yo, y'all are all black. Like y'all are connected to an identity higher that should be prioritized more than just the street that you're living on. Well, what's the difference when it comes to religions? All the religions are based on our connection to the same God, right? Our connection to each other. But when you separate things and you say that, oh, well, this is king of all kings, we prioritize this person, we prioritize it. Well, Muhammad is it. Unless your religion is incorporating everybody, incorporating all the other prophets, incorporating all the other religions that came at different times to serve different purposes, then it's always going to create division. The identity perhaps should be we're God's children. Tell me what should be prioritized over that identity of being God's children. Tell me what's going to create more of an approach, this adoption of this mindset of oneness, that we're all the same. Isn't that how God created us, as oneness, one race? God didn't create religions. Man created religion and used God's name to do so in order to control a group of people and to teach lessons. You can say whatever the motives was. I don't care what the motives were. But it was created by man. And we know man is flawed. Perhaps the primary identity should just be God's children. Imagine if we all walked around with that mindset being the primary identity. We're all God's children. Okay, now I'm not looking to take sides maybe between Israel, Palestine, and I'm just looking at it like, yo, these my bros, these my sisters. We got to figure this out. I'm not picking sides. I'm just trying to figure out a solution. So Jason Whitlock, like he said, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, they're on the right path. Jason Whitlock is on the right path as well. But what he's also not taking into accountability is what he identifies with is contributing to this tribalism that he's discussing that a lot of other non-Christians have adopted. Just my opinion, though. Just my opinion. Like Cuzzo just said, Cuzzo come in and drop gems from the jump. Jesus didn't come here to start a religion. He came to remind us that we are the light. Stop allowing man to diminish our light by clouding it with religion. Clouding it with religion that was created so long ago to serve a purpose that was a problem solver for times thousands of years ago, which we had different problems and different ways of solving problems, right? Because the problems reoccur, but as we advance as a society, you can't just solve a problem. You can't just open the Old Testament and take it word for word and say, okay, I'm going to go about solving this problem. I'm going to go beat my slave, but as long as I don't, kill them on that day, as long as they don't die within that 24 hours, then it's okay. You can't do that. You can't go conquer a people and just go take whatever woman you want as your wife. You can't do these things. We talk about it all the time. We need an update. We need an update. So we got an outdated religion, which is just outdated interpretations of God, now being applied to the now. And then we wonder, and these are the same people that use this outdated religion to use their own interpretation, to gain control, to colonize groups of people that are more spiritual than religious. And we sit back and wonder why the world's in chaos. Why a lot of people think that the only answer to this problem that we have is another flood. The reset button. Jesus died opposing organized religion. And what did he win for his sacrifice? People creating a religion in his name. I always wonder, like, all these people that created the religion in God's name, if those people or their lineage was alive, I wonder what their energy was when they were hanging Jesus on the cross. Those same people that created the religion in God in Jesus' name, because Jesus was so impactful to them, I wonder what they were doing when Jesus was on the cross. I wonder what their uncles, their parents were doing when Jesus was on the cross, if it was passed down to them, because that's even wilder if it was created based on people that never even knew Jesus. But let's assume that it was created by people that knew Jesus. What were you doing when he was on the cross? You didn't feel that it was worth it to give up your life for the person that you're going to create a religion based on? None of this makes sense to me. I understand it, but it just doesn't make sense. I don't understand how people accept this. I don't understand how people accept this. Let's continue maybe another minute of Jason Whitlock, and then we're going to move to this next video that I was talking about with Patrick Bet-David.
And if you take on it, and so when you're looking at the black people that have rejected, and look, there's white people that have as well. There's certainly, hey, I'm transgender. Hey, I'm gay. Hey, I'm a liberal. Hey, I'm a feminist. Hey, I'm a Republican. Hey, I'm a Democrat. Hey, I'm conservative. Hey, I'm liberal. These are all bogus identities that take you away from God.
And so is Christianity, if we're just being honest and looking at the history of it. Now, like I said on Wednesday, there's people that I have close to me that Christianity serves them very well. They have a great relationship with God from afar that I'm looking at. My young boy, great relationship. I talked to him about it. He prays before he goes to the gym, all this stuff, and it really helps him. But we can't just look at the people that it helps. You also have to look at the big picture of things. You also have to look at the big picture. Because I'm pretty sure that my young boy, if he was taught, let's say, or if he embraced, and he probably does embrace it, the fact that we're all one, the fact that we're all God's children, that would help him as well. And perhaps it would help the majority of society. So let's move on to this next video that I'd like to show y'all. Here we go. All right, so there's a couple different points. I think 2 different points that I want y'all to take a look at. Let me move to the side, if I may. And if it's not this timestamp, then it's another, but one or the other. Just want us to have this conversation.
Unconditional surrender, that needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong with this culture.
And hold on one second. My fault. Let me sorry, I've been not catching up with the comments. Unc wrote, but you have to stop and think that most people that uphold Christian values read that Bible. Hold on. Read the Bible, but worship things that are man-made, and it says more than once not to do that. Unc, you're making the assumption that most Christians even read the Bible. This is another one of my criticisms of Christianity. How do you not even make it a requirement to actually learn Christianity before you accept Christianity and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? How is that not even a requirement? Like it's insane. Most people that uphold Christian values read the Bible but worship things that are man-made, and it says that's the whole point. Most people don't know the Bible. We saw the interview with Bob Marley where he said like most Americans are taught the Bible to read scripture here, and then you fast forward, you know, a couple books ahead, and you read the scripture from that. It's like it's a book. You're supposed to read it from beginning to end. Then you realize the book of Enoch was taken out. They had the Council of Nicaea changing certain things. You got this King James version. What are we even reading? Why listen to the King James version when we can study the translations or some of the earlier translations that more directly let's say like the Ethiopian Bible? But we listen to the King James one. It's all of this stuff is goofy. All of this stuff is goofy. To each their own. If it helps you, cool. But what I would recommend people looking at is just because something helps you doesn't mean that it's good. Just because something helps you does not mean that it's good. Imagine what that mindset will do. Imagine how that mindset is impacted and played out into the destruction of Palestine. Just because something benefits you and you're able to use it to your advantage, maybe to become a better person, does not mean that that is how it is applied to the majority of people. Let's get back to this video. My fault.
And it needs to be defeated. Deeply unconditional surrender, that needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong.
Oh, wait, whoa. Let me go back a couple seconds because y'all need to understand what he's talking about.
Twice in order to get unconditional surrender. This is it right here. Listen to what he says.
We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something.
We nuked the Japanese twice to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. This is a congressman? Florida.
Surrender. This is it right here. Listen to what he says.
We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong with this culture, and it needs to be defeated.
We heard in Brooks. Okay, so I mean, nuking the entire place, and I get it. And a lot of people are saying, and I think, who do we see yesterday? Megyn Kelly and even Charlie Kirk were mentioning. It's like, guys, you can be critical about because people are going after them because they're not going all in on everything that the government of Israel is doing. But I think these type of things have to be addressed. How is it going to get bloodier when the death tolls already 60,000 people have already died in the conflict? 1,000 have died at distribution sites. Journalists, and here's the thing that bothers me, Pat. Journalists aren't allowed to, they're banned from entering Gaza to report what is happening. You can't. When's the last time you saw, like, we just saw a couple of soldiers shooting. I don't know what year that's from. You can't see what's happening. And I get the fact that there's hostages. I understand that. But what we know as American government, as the American stance on terrorism is what? We do not negotiate with terrorists, okay? Whatever you're going to do, you should have been doing it already. If they're so tactically, Pat, Israel, we saw in this last operation, what were they doing in Iran? They blew up a part of a building where just the apartment of where the guy was blown up happened. And we got to this point because of what? Me and Adam were talking about this in the hotel room yesterday, October 7th. And now we're hearing from Israeli soldiers, IDF soldiers, in their Congress, and I sent Rob the video. They're saying that they got on October 7th stand-down orders in the hours of when this attack happened. And then Michael Flynn was on a podcast yesterday saying that he was talking to people as well. Is this it, Rob? I mean, this it's really long, Rob.
Long, Rob.
Yeah, it's wrong. I'll just tell you guys what he said. He was hearing from people that they were getting stand-down orders, and these are IDF soldiers, and I won't even play that clip too, which always got back to, who was the guy, Pat, that we talked about that said, now's not the time. It was 2 weeks after October 7th.
John Kirby.
John Kirby said, now's not the time. It's been this far along, where we are right now. They had warnings. Egypt even warned Benjamin Netanyahu about this day. It happened. Now you're hearing all this stuff, and I'm like, you want to get bloodier? Can we fix the problem that's happening right now? And it's the starving people and the people trying to get food that are getting shot at.
Isn't Trump trying to get the money in there, number one?
Trump's trying to get the money in there.
Number two, isn't there two issues? Is where we are right now, and then did FDR know that the Japanese are going to attack Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
And is that why he took the aircraft carriers out?
Yeah.
We have these conspiracies that have gone back and forth about countries getting into war. Okay, that's October 7th. We could debate that another time. What do you think right now, Trump trying to get aid in, and what Netanyahu's saying now?
I think
separating it from October 7th on who did or didn't.
I think getting to the point where Trump has a heart. They asked him on Air Force One a couple of weeks ago, I want to say 1.5 weeks ago. So the reporter's like, hey, Melania, he's even said Melania is worried about this. He goes, they're starving. He goes, something has to change, because us caring about those people, those innocent people, it's not anti-Semitic. I'm not pro-Hamas. I'm just tactically, you could be doing a better job, because that anti-Semitic thing, like, then people around the world are judging, and I don't agree with it. They're labeling all Jewish people. No. If you're going to go after the problem, say it exactly. You know, or it's the Jews. No. It's Bibi Netanyahu's government that's not going about this in the right way. Because when I see starving children...
Right way according to who?
This is what I want y'all to focus on. Think about everything that Benny just said. I know it was long, and I was going to cut it up and fast forward to this part, but I wanted y'all to get the context. Listen to what Patrick Bet David is asking him. Just listen to this. Now, this is somebody who claims to be a Christian. Makes it very clear that he's Christian and lives by Christian values, to my understanding. Talks about family, talks about the importance of all these things, always brings God into the conversation, having these Christian values. Let me go back 10 seconds.
People. No. If you're going to go after the problem, say it exactly. You know, or it's the Jews. No. It's Bibi Netanyahu's government that's not going about this in the right way. Because when I see starving children...
Right way according to who?
Meaning, like, what do you mean?
What is a right way according to? So, for example, they say Trump is not going the right way about all the illegal immigrants we have. According to who? Trump's not going the right way about renegotiating tariffs with companies. According to who? So according to who is Bibi not going the right way?
Okay, I'll give my opinion. I can't speak for everybody. I think if the problem is what's happening with Gaza, and there's people trying to get food to eat, and they're not only stopping the food, they're giving orders to shoot at unarmed crowds, Pat, I have a huge problem with that. Being a veteran as well, that type of stuff
Wrong by who, Patrick Bet David? How about wrong as far as being one of God's children? Do we really think that any religion or that God, well, I think the religions would, because religions justify just about anything to get whatever they want done. Is it crazy for me to think that Patrick Bet David could insert a spirituality, a connection between each of us? Like, is it very hard to say that this is wrong, what's going on in Palestine, just based on a godly approach to this? And this is what I was talking about earlier, where religion has destroyed spirituality. Religion is simply man controlling other men and leveraging God and the afterlife in a lot of ways in order to control men. Live like this, and this is the way that you have to live. This is godly, and also we'll throw in a sweet prize as well, where if you live good, then you also go to heaven afterwards. Just like the earlier video. Oh, if you're good to Israel, then God's going to bless you. with the evangelical Christians. It's completely desensitized us when it comes to a humanitarian approach. If we consider Israelis as well as Palestinians as our brothers and sisters, is it even up for question that what's going on in that region is wrong? It's like the standards of war, the areas in which, like during war times, shouldn't we lean into God the most? Like, aren't we taught to lean into God when things are going wrong and when we really need some clarity on certain situations? Aren't we supposed to lean into God more when we have war? But instead, what we do is we put God on the back burner. We put spirituality on the back burner, and then we bring religion to the table, which is just man. And man can always find whatever scripture and interpretation that he wants in order to justify committing any act of atrocity, any demonic act that they want, and tell people or try to convince people, manipulate people into thinking that it's justified in order to get a certain outcome. The ends justifies the means. We are living in demonic times. America, I'm just calling a spade, is controlled by demonic people. The colonizers, it was founded, like, it's very hard that we talk about foundational principles, right? A house that was built on a bad foundation, the house is going to always be unstable. America was built on a bad foundation. All these nations that were colonized by Europeans, they were built on bad foundations. Like, it just is what it is. I'm not calling all Europeans bad. I think we're mature enough to understand that. Colonization, we just looked at the videos on Manifest Destiny. And what was the other doctrine? The doctrine of discovery. These were evil principles that were adopted in order to justify killing people, raping and pillaging them, colonizing them, forcing them to adopt the religion that you believe in, and using them not having that religion in order to justify doing whatever it is that it took for you to conquer that group of people. And Patrick Bet David is going to sit here and ask Vinny, well, wrong based on what? The more I learn about these people and understand their perspectives, it's like, yo, I don't want to be anything like these people. Certain people that I used to look up to for different reasons, thought that I could learn from, and I still, I learn a lot from a lot of these people, actually. I've read 2 of Patrick Bet David's books. This man, this is clownish behavior. We're wrong by who? The self-proclaimed Christian. This is why I think all these religions, it's all BS to me. It's all BS to me. Show me you're Christian. Show me you're Christian. Have the courage to stand up about what's going on with your fellow brothers and sisters, maybe in the Middle East, rather than justifying certain things going on and sitting here asking people, well, why is it wrong to kill all these kids? Why is it wrong to starve this country? By what standards? Let's keep going, and then we're going to wrap up. We'll watch another minute of this and then wrap it up.
Getting orders, you know what orders means? It's coming from the top. Somebody's telling you, listen, if they're getting wild, shoot them. That right there, that tactical move, Pat. And again, hostages and all that, that's a whole different.
It's Vinny, when you're saying that, like, we did that. Mm-hmm. America did.
Of course we did. It doesn't make it right.
No, but it's not about it makes it right or it doesn't make it right. Iran did that. Middle East. War is nasty. Mm-hmm. Very, very nasty. Do I support that behavior? No. I was a kid in Iran when Saddam and Iraq was attacking us, and it's scary as hell, and we were frightened moving from Tehran to Karaj to Bandar Pahlavi to Rasht. We'll just keep moving until finally we're like, let's get the hell out of here. It was so bad that we went to Germany to be at a refugee camp. I'm not supportive of it. But according to who? So when I...
You are definitely supportive of it. You're condoning it. By not calling it out, you're condoning it. these people play this like, damn, how much money do you have to make to let your nuts hang? Like, and I hate to say it that way. Bro, you're part owner of the Yankees. You're a millionaire. You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe. How much money do you have to make to just stand on principle, stand on real morals and values, rather than to tiptoe because you're scared of what this audience may do, how it may impact your bottom line? At what point do you just say, you know what? Let me prioritize godliness over profits. Let me prioritize spirituality over capitalism. Like, damn, bro, I'm not saying that I support it. I'm just, well, everything you're saying is condoning it. Oh, you mean you're not cheerleading for it to happen? You're just allowing it to happen. Okay, gotcha.
Hear stories like this with specifically Israel Netanyahu.
This man is bringing up. So what's the point if you're not condoning it, if you're not supporting it? What's the point of bringing up the fact that America did it, Iran did it? So what? This is, think back to the classroom. These people have just terrible morals. To the classroom. Oh, Johnny did it. First off, you're a snitch. Second off, Johnny doing something justifies you doing it. Rich clowns, bro. Wealthy, quote unquote, successful clowns.
Now he's doing what he's doing. All right. So in America, we'll sit there and, there'll be the guys on the side that are, Jew this, Israel this, all this other stuff. I can't believe what they're doing. I can't believe what they're doing with this. All right, cool. There's a faction that Israel can't do nothing right whatsoever. Then there's a faction that says Israel can't do nothing wrong. Both of those people have zero credibility with me.
I agree.
Okay? Zero credibility with me. When you're only looking at that everything Israel, Jews, you lose. I'm not listening to you because you're being unreasonable. And when the people can't do anything wrong, you're also, I don't want to hear what you have to say because you're also full of it, right? But for me, if he's choosing to do this and he goes about it and does it himself, the history we have in America, every single state that we have, this is not California, this is Mexico, this is not this is this. What do you think we did? Did you live in California? Did we live in a lot of these states? How do you think it happened? You think it was pretty? You think it was, what are we talking about? Like we're talking about like as if it's going to happen. Like these types of things are going to happen all over the place.
This man is not godly. It's going to happen. These are the same type of people. When I hear him talk about business, he doesn't just accept that things happen. When I hear this man talk about business, when I read his books, when it comes to business, he controls things. He makes things happen. If they're not likely to happen, I'll make it happen. But when it comes to killing people and conquering nations, he said, this is going to happen. It's going to happen. I have no control over this. How about you use the influence that you have to push people in a direction where this won't happen? This is insane. Oh, it's going to happen. Imagine a woman in your family coming to you and crying and telling you like, oh my God, something just happened to me. Y'all know the word, it sounds like grape. And you saying, it's going to happen. These things are going to happen. Is it wrong? Is it right? But it's going to happen. I'm not supporting it, but it's going to happen. And when we don't have a free thinking mind, we'll hear people like this that look successful, that represent wealth, that can kind of come across like, oh, he's being sensible. He's saying like, I'm not with the people that think that these people can do no wrong. I'm also not with the people that think that everything they do is right, or everything that they do is wrong. It seems to be. If you are not a free thinking person that has principles, morals, value, and integrity aligned with something greater than religion, align with a godliness of a concept of oneness, you will be misled. You will be misled because you're always going to be picking a side. When you pick a side, you're biased, you can't be objective, and you can't bring people together. The overall goal of godliness and God is to bring us together, I thought. What type of God would want to separate people? If God is the all-powerful, then wouldn't you want to use that power, that influence to bring people together? Or would you just want to use it to kill off the people that are not aligned? Hey, you're not aligned with what I'm rocking with? We'll kill you off. And then we'll just, take your land and then we'll repopulate it. We maybe keep some of your women, the bad ones, the ones we like. Other than that, we'll let the other ones go. I'm just talking biblical here. Damn.
They have to handle it. My problem is, hey, you say you can do it. Can you do it with your money? What do you need? If you want to do it by yourself, go do it. I don't support it. I'm not going to get up and great job. We endorse this behavior. And that's exactly what he's doing. He said, hey, my wife is even talking about what are you doing over there? Are we feeding the guys or not? You don't think behind closed doors he's talking to Bibi and saying something like this? Hey, Bibi, let me explain something to you. I swear to God, if the next time I send you food, if it doesn't make it to the people that need to do something, you lose anything you want from me. You're not going to get it. You don't think he says something like that?
I think so.
Does Trump give you the vibe that he's being pushed around by Bibi? Really?
Not at all.
Yes. These people that are trying to support Israel, they want to try their hardest to, Trump's not getting pushed over. Like, what are y'all saying? This is, look at Adam. Look at Adam on the left.
Does Trump give you the vibe that he's being pushed around by Bibi? Really?
Not at all.
Let's go talk about this. We talked about this, you and I, at dinner the other.
Yo, money don't make you cool, man. Money does not make you cool, bro. These are clowns. Yo, we're going to cut it off short. We're going to get right to it. 45 seconds. Y'all know what we do at the end of every show. If y'all don't, we take 45 seconds, meditate, manifest, do whatever it is that you need. Perhaps focus on how you can fulfill that goal that we set out in the beginning of the week to make this our greatest week ever. Do whatever it is that you need. Close your eyes, open your eyes, whatever you feel is best. Every exhale, imagine getting rid of all the negative energy, all the things that are preventing you from accomplishing your goals, from becoming the best version of yourself. And as you're inhaling all the positive things, the empowering things, the things that are going to enlighten you, give you clarity, that are going to help you move forward with living in your purpose. All right. 45 seconds. Let's begin now. Oh, wow, my bad. I'm over here getting sidetracked. 45 seconds. Y'all get one last breath. Inhale, positive. Exhale, negative. Inhaling all the positive. Recirculating that positive. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know we come here to do. Elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint. Hold up. Before you leave, like. Subscribe. Elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, challenging ourselves to raise our standards to become the best leaders we can become, that are needed, of course, as we're watching these videos that we watched today, now more than ever. All right. Strength and honor, onward and upward. Get to that bag. If you don't know what I mean by getting to that bag, all the things that you're doing throughout the hour, throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the year, that are going to align and make sure that we're on the proper trajectory, moving with efficiency, in order to live in our purpose and achieve what we like to call purposeful abundance as we strive to make an impact on the world. What's our impact on the world? That's going to be our personal legend. All right. What's in your bag? You got to determine what's in your bag. What's in my bag? The things I like to focus on: peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything we do, integrity. Oh, wait, there are 2 Dax on the screen. It funny, bro. It funny, bro. Yo, I'm gonna let y'all go, man. I'm gonna let y'all go. Nah, we changing this. Ant, you missed it. I gotta put this road on the other side, or I may do it. I may get the stationary mic. I don't like all that. It's just too much. Like, I like being able to move and whatnot, but it is what it is. Yo, y'all enjoy y'all weekend. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Stay balanced, yo. Stay balanced. Stay balanced. Don't get two on one side, 2 on the other. Stay balanced and trust your morals and values. Trust your principles. Trust your moral compass. We know what's right and what's wrong. We get influenced and manipulated in order to see things a certain type of way. But this, from the time that we're young, we understand what aligns with what's right and wrong. All right. Whether you think it, I don't want to get into the whole right and wrong, but we know what our morals are. All right. We can look at a situation and tell this doesn't feel right. This feels all right. So appreciate y'all. Y'all stay balanced. Y'all stay blessed. And I'll see y'all soon. Have a great weekend.